You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to the Ashley Burgess podcast. And I feel like many of us have days where we lack motivation, maybe years of lacking motivation. Some of us are worried about what others think, what they'll think or how they'll judge us based on what we do in our life or if we're succeeding or not. Many of us also don't really know what we can do. Can we do this? Can we achieve this? Can I be successful? Will this work for me? Or am I just doing all this for nothing? I think many of us are in fear. We're in fear. What can I do? Will this work for me? Will this pan out for me? Some of you wanted to do different things in your life, and you had these dreams of being somebody else, doing some other type of business or craft or career that you're not doing right now. Some of us feel like we're going to screw it up. If we do it, if we show up, we're going to screw it up. Why do I even bother showing up? And a lot of us have dealt with this since childhood, dealt with this from an early age, questioning our ability, wondering what to do, taking ourselves extremely serious in everything we do, and judging ourselves in every area of our life. I know that many of you judge yourselves on what you do, what you don't do. You even judge yourself on the things that you don't do, and you ponder and you feel bad about that. So you judge yourself again about pondering and thinking about it not doing, then you beat yourself up again for it. You know, and I get it, and I understand that because I've done it too. I still work on this. I'm still in recovery for this. I still have to work on that. I still have to sit there and say, hey, Ashley, get up, do this, try it out, try it again, try it again, try it again. You know, because otherwise you don't want regret. You don't want to look back at life and say, man, I missed out. Woman, I missed out. You don't want to look at that. You want to be like, I can't believe I missed out on this, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do this to my ability, or I should have done this, or I should have been there, or I should have done that. Instead, turning that around and saying, okay, and maybe some of you need to have motivation based on the fact that, well, there could be regret. And some of you have to go to the brass tacks of, well, if I focus on the regret and how painful it is, that'll get me there. Some of you don't need that much pushing, but some of you do. And I was thinking about it earlier today. I was thinking about life and how many of us take it too seriously. Many of us judge ourselves too much. And I thought in my mind, you know, I've always believed that all the world is a stage. All the world is a stage, right? All the world is a stage. And it's interesting because that's the famous opening line of a monologue from William Shakespeare's play, As You Like It. And it's interesting because I do believe that all the world is a stage, whether it's your play or your film or, your movie or your documentary, whatever you want to call it. But if it's your play, how do you want that play to go? How do you want to see that play acted out? What part in that play do you want to take? And what part do you not? What's important? What's not? How do you handle it? And then stepping back and looking at that play and realize that, yes, indeed, there are going to be times that you take things too seriously. There are going to be times that you don't take things serious enough, maybe, but I don't really think that's the case. There's going to be times that people are going to talk bad about you. But should that change your life? It's always very interesting. So let's begin the discussion of how life is a stage. All the world's a stage, and your life is a stage. And it's about the play that we want to produce. It's about the play that not necessarily produce, but the play that we want to star in. Think about it. You're the star. The people around you are your co-stars. You have the folks that are kind of on the outskirts. You have the folks that are the main characters. You have, the good ones, the bad ones, the protagonists. You have all this stuff, okay? And it depends on how you look at it and how you cultivate that play. It's your play. And when you think about it, I always find it funny, and I say this to a lot of my clients in session, is that I don't understand how people got along as far as they have, as far as most of us are all living in our own world. We live in our own world. We understand other people's ideas and concepts a little bit, but we really don't understand them completely. The fact that people aren't constantly fighting in the streets is beyond me because all of us see things differently. Now, we might see some things similarly, but none of us are thinking the same way. None of us have the same consciousness, the same thought process, the same history, the same background to cultivate and put things together. We're all coming from a different perspective, how we were raised, the family dynamic, the historical reference to our lives. The goods, the bads, the positives, the negatives, the toxicities, the non-toxicity, all those things contribute to our life. And so when we see something or we look at something and we say, oh, this is good, this is bad, this is horrible, this is great, that is all based on our perspective. It's all based on what we have lived through, what is our past, what we think we deserve, what we think we're going to get, and how we see the world. It's how we see the world. If I see the world, like if I'm seeing the world as a really great place, let's say like I see the world as a very positive environment. When I go outside in the morning, I'm going to see probably, a woman, with her stroller and a little baby smiling back at her. I'm probably going to see a man walking down the street, maybe with his young son, and they're, walking to the park. I might see, somebody walking their dog that's carrying a stick. It's so happy to carry that stick. I might see neighbors walking together going somewhere, or families walking to something in the park, whatever it is. I'm going to see that. If I see the world as being a horrible place, when I walk outside, I'm going to think that everybody around me is going to, burglarize, steal, whatever. I'm going to wonder what people are up to. I'm going to be watching people like a hawk, and I'm going to all think that they have some sort of negative motivation. If I'm somewhere in the middle, I'm somewhere in the middle. It really does depend on what shade my glasses are. And I'm not saying that we all need to wear rose-colored glasses. I'm just saying being aware that if we're wearing brown glasses all the time, it might put a perspective on life. It's about being open. It's about being there, being present in your play, not expectations or waiting for the other shoe to drop or whatever it is. But it's also about being a solid person. It's about having empathy. It's about having respect for other people. It's about showing respect to other people. It's about doing the right thing. It's not about being mean or cruel or violent. Those things are honestly, psychotic and wrong and unhealthy and need to be treated. However, if we are a somewhat healthy individual that has begun to work on ourselves, even if you feel unmotivated, even if you feel like you have procrastination, even if you sometimes succeed in self-sabotaging behavior, right? And you're like, oh man, I hadn't been drinking and I had 2 glasses of wine, but I've been doing so good and I feel really bad about myself, but you're trying. Or you quit smoking and you gave in the other day, had a couple of cigarettes, but you're back on track. That's all that matters. Stop beating yourself up about it. But if you're not doing anything to better yourself, that's a whole nother scene, because that's a big self-sabotaging play that you are creating. You're really creating, and other people might be co-creating with you. But again, remember, you are the lead in this play. So let's discuss this. Who is influencing you and your decisions? And I think that's one of the biggest questions I always like to ask, through different, ways of asking through periods of time in different sessions. But who's influencing your decisions? Are you influencing your decisions? Your family influencing your decision? Is your spouse, significant other influencing your decision? Are people that are outsiders, are they influencing your decision? Are you trying to be, you're trying to, move up and you're being influenced by people telling you, things, or you're trying to move up in society, or you're trying to follow the lead of things, or you're looking at social media is influencing you? Or are you allowing your negative self-talk to influencing you? When we are influenced by negative self-talk, we reaffirm the negative thought processes about ourselves. And in the process, we screw ourselves over. I mean, I'm just saying. And we normally hold ourselves back. So if somebody doesn't feel like they're competent enough, they're not going to do it. If somebody feels like they're not educated enough, they're not going to put themselves out there. If somebody believes that their employees, don't like them, they're probably not going to go into the office or the business or the restaurant or wherever they're at. They're probably not going to do that because they don't want to deal with that. But the point is, I want you to start thinking about how often you are influenced not by your gut instinct, not by a positive, healthy manner, but more so influenced by that negative broken record. I'm never going to add up to this. This is never going to happen for me. All the stuff from back in the day, influence from maybe if dad or mom was somewhat toxic. Maybe you were raised, in an environment where there was alcohol and drugs. Maybe you were raised in a family dynamic where they did not take care of you. They were not there for you. They could not take care of you because they could not take care of themselves. So you are being influenced constantly in the background by that child that needs help and needs understanding, that inner child that needs to find their inner child again because they never had an inner child. Growing up in these types of childhoods, it is very tough and very challenging because there was no time to be a child. And when you have no time to be a child and you have to adult in the very beginning, you miss out on the formative years of doing things that you need to do to actually honestly adult. And so that's why working with the inner child is so important. And that's something I do in my sessions with clients too, because I think it's so important. We can't let that go. We have to address that. It has to be a part of our reality. So ask yourself again, who is influencing my decisions? Who? Am I trying to appear this way with somebody? Is my image more important to me than what I'm doing? Really get to the gut of this because only you know the truth. Now, if you're working with me, I'll get it out of you. But if you're not working with me, you have to get it out for yourself. And this can be hard because many of you block it. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to confront it. You don't want to see the truth. You don't want to deal with it. And also the mind is blocking it too, because if the mind stops you from catching it and figuring out why, then you can't change it. You can't make it work. You are stuck in a cycle pattern of frustration, lack of motivation, worried about what other people think, worried about what people are saying about you. Not a good place to be at, a very, very uncomfortable, unhealthy place to be at that a lot of people find themselves, and a lot of people, well, it ruins a lot of people's lives. The second thing, inner voices. I'm not talking about your gut because your gut is very important. That's an inner voice that's very important, but many of you can't hear your gut because you're too busy listening to the other stuff. You got this whole group of judge, jury, and executioners that are telling you about how a horrible person you are every day, what bad stuff you do every day, and how this is never going to end, and this is going to be your life for the rest of your life. So what are the voices saying to you? What does that voice say to you, that little voice? I was kidding with the voices. I'm not saying that you have multiple voices, and that should be recognized if you are. And I'm not making fun of that. I'm saying that that is something that you need to recognize if that's the case. But many of you have this constant, and I call it the judge. That judge, it's like, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm this, I'm that. I'm stupid, I'm slow, whatever it is that you got in your head, you reaffirm that over and over and over again. And you do things to reaffirm that as well. You do things to reaffirm that as well. And that's something that we really need to be aware of. And I need you to catch that. That's a big thing. And that's huge, the negative broken record. And we'll do a show again. I have negative broken record shows from a long time ago, but I think it needs to be done again. I've had them from, we started this in 2012, the show, Live Your True Life Perspectives. And, we had some shows back on that. I think that's something important to talk about, but I want you to start analyzing what are the negative thoughts that come through, because you might not hear the voice anymore. You just feel it, or you don't do something, or you don't do what you could do to make things better, or you don't show up at work that day, or you don't work out, or you don't take care of yourself, or you don't take a shower that day. There's something that's happening in that inner voice that's holding you back from being you. Another aspect, and this is designed for you to listen to multiple times, because I think sometimes it's best for us to listen to something, listen to it again, and commit that to memory. It might take 3 or 4 times, and that's why I'm making this podcast very short, because I want it to be something that you actually write down, that you journal, that you think about. If you're at the gym, I want you to take notes on your phone when you're running or on the elliptical or on a cardio machine or what have you. I want you to really think about this because these are life-changing thoughts. These are things that you can change your life with. No joke. I know for a fact. The third thing, what are you holding back from? So one of the things that we deal with is the fact that when we feel this way and we have this inner dialogue going, we're always holding ourselves back from something. There's just no way. I mean, you can't have this negative dialogue and all this stuff and this critical dialogue and be doing everything you want and having no regret and putting yourself out there and everything. It doesn't happen. So what are you holding yourself back from? Is it from success? Is it from trying something? Is it from the possibility of failure that could lead to success? And I don't believe that there is any failure or any success. Okay, so it's like failure and success. I mean, I don't really know. I think a lot of us are so scared of failure and then so like keen on success, but success can be fleeting and failure the same. But also, I think it's from the same coin. Because I think what people consider failure could actually be a success. And what people call success could be a failure. Example, you get an award for something and it stops you from actually pursuing and continuing that direction because now you've gotten to this pinnacle you think in your career or your life and you just stop working because there's nothing to prove anymore. So there you go. Or when somebody says no, or a project doesn't get affirmed and you have to change it or turn it around, or you have to focus on a different direction in your life, or you have to get out of something that mattered to you and you go into something else, but that changes everything. That having to get out of it you claim as a failure probably wasn't a failure. So again, all the world is a stage. You know, your vocabulary is very important. Your vocabulary is one of the most important things in the whole wide world. Vocabulary. I mean, think about it. I mean, like, vocabulary is everything. If I walked in and said, hey, you're a slut, or I walk in and I say, hey, sweetheart, how you doing? There's two different little, directions on that, right? But it's vocabulary. If I walk in and I'm like, oh, this is horrible, life sucks, it's the same shit, different day. I'm walking in. If I walk in, I go, well, hey, I'm up for something today. Let's see how it goes. It doesn't have to be Pollyanna and rainbow. It can just be more, not taking things so serious, allowing things to come through, allowing things to happen in a way. Because if we are writing the play and we're writing the dialogue and the action as being a problem, if the dialogue is constantly about this other shoe is about to drop and there's this constant drama saga, right? I mean, I know that it's so funny. I don't know if you've watched those cooking shows lately, the cooking shows on the cooking channel where they have to make like a cake or do these cookies in like 30 minutes and they make all this fake drama about how somebody doesn't have a recipe right or somebody doesn't have an ingredient, and then they turn up the music and people, oh my God, this didn't work, or the frosting on my whatever didn't work and this is horrible and I have to like do this again, and it's just such fake drama. However, that's kind of what we're doing in our own life, right? That's kind of what we're doing in our own life is we take something, and yes, there are stressful moments in our life. There are. Many of us are going through a lot right now. But the way we look at it defines how we deal with it. The way we look at the situation defines how we deal with it. If I look at the situation as doable, I'm able to do something. If I look at the situation as overwhelming, impossible, never going to happen, this is a horrible situation, well, guess what I got? I'm going to flub it up. I'm going to screw it up. I'm going to be stressed out. I'm going to be angry. You got it. All the above is what's going to happen for me. So think about that. And I'm going to do other podcasts about this because we'll go into specifics because each thing deserves a specific show, an independent show of its own. But these are the concepts as we talked about. So, what are you holding yourself back from? Think about it. Are you scared of failure? And in the process of that, you're not having successes. If you're scared of how you're going to look or how you're going to appear to other people and you're not showing up, and so instead of being able to be there and impart knowledge and be there, people just kind of see you as a no-show. I mean, no-shows in life don't really develop connections, and they don't get people to be there for them. They don't have people that will trust them because they haven't been around. There's no consistency. If you're not consistent, what do you have? Without consistency, what is there? I mean, somebody might say they're going to do something one day and turn around and not do it. It's like after a while, you're just like, yeah, I can't believe anything you're saying because everything you said has never come to fruition. So consistency is key. Even if it's small consistency, it's kind of the concept of going to the gym, right? And I tell my clients when we are working on the gym situation as the health component, I say, don't go over there for 3 hours, lose it, run all this time, beat yourself up, come home and can't move for 6 weeks. I said, get over there, do 20 minutes. Go for 20 minutes day 1. Day 2, go for 25 minutes. Day 3, go for 30. And then keep it at that for a few days. And maybe the next week you increase it. But show up right and show up for your life. It's about showing up for your life. How are you going to show up for your life? And one of the things that I've realized is many of you have no clue about regret. Regret is a doozy. It's one of the worst things I think you can possibly have. Way worse than failure. Failure and regret. Failure is like a 5-star hotel. Regret, that's bad. Regret is bad. It's like being on the street. It's bad. Because regret is horrible. Because it is one of the worst things. Because the thing is mostly about regret, there's something that we could have possibly done. There's something that we could have possibly done to change the outcome. And also, it's not ever one and done. I know people say, oh, it didn't happen. Da, da, da. It's not one and done. I mean, you got more chances. It's your play. Give another chance. Do it again. Because remember, regret is based on self-sabotage, procrastination, not following through, listening to people that do not have your best at heart, listening to people who are trying to make you into something that you're not. Listening to people that have no idea who they are and should not be giving you any advice. If they're not living their life right as far as healthy and considerate and empathic and caring and loving and also compassionate and being truthful, I think that's part of it too. Being truthful about their own feelings, their own fears. Somebody that can be honest is so important. So if you are taking advice from somebody, go to somebody that can actually be honest, not living in a cloud, not living in another world, really somebody that can be honest about whatever successes or failures are, whatever they feel like maybe hasn't happened for them in their life. Somebody that's not handing you a bill of goods, because I think a lot of times we compare ourselves to others that say they have all this stuff, but they don't. Or they might have one piece of the puzzle, but all the other stuff's missing. Somebody can have a lot of money and literally have nothing else. And it's interesting, and I think many of you understand, it's like when somebody has a lot of money and nothing else, they're always talking about their money. They're always talking about their money and what they're buying and what they're getting and what they own and how much it costs, because that's all they have. There is nothing else. Otherwise, they wouldn't be talking about their money. They'd be talking about something else. It's just like when somebody, all they feel they have is their good looks. They're going to talk about how everybody likes me and everybody's entranced by me and everybody wants me and all that stuff. But again, if you had more to life, at least if you thought you had more to life than your looks, you'd be talking about other things. And that's where value comes in. Where is your personal value at? Personal value is not defined from looks. Personal value is not defined from money. Personal value is not defined from items. Personal value is defined within yourself, not narcissistically, not self-centered, not sociopathically. No, none of that. None of that. We're not playing that game here. That's not what we deal with here. Okay? So we look at it from a realistic point of view of what we are and what we're doing. Okay? And so, I mean, I think that is a very interesting concept, and a lot of people don't really understand or take that into consideration when they're thinking about what is it that I need to be? And looking at people, if somebody is giving you some sort of advice, friend or family member, whatever, remember everybody, if they're a friend or family member, yes, I mean, you can listen, but really look at their own lifestyle too. I really recommend listening to your gut. I mean, if you're a healthy individual that has worked on themselves and realized that you have things that you have to work on, and you're listening to this show and it resonates with you and you're not judging other people or making yourself out to be the victim, I think you're in a pretty good place to recognize when someone should offer you help, or you should listen to somebody or take their criticism. I think really looking toward yourself in this and looking at, where's my self-sabotage? Where's my procrastination? Where am I not following through? What are the voices telling me? That voice, what's that negative broken record saying? And really focusing on that and writing that down and recognizing when that gets in your way of doing something. Okay, you got this voice comes out, or you think, oh, I'm lazy, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm not smart enough, or I can't get this done, or they're not going to like me. And then you stop and you don't do something. Remember, that voice is stopping you from making changes in your life. That voice isn't getting in the way of you creating happiness and healthy experiences in your life. And that voice is actually going to aid and abet in your regret. And so I think just thinking about that, look at that, because regret is the last thing we want. We don't want regret. We don't want to have a bunch of regret. That's one of the things we really don't want to have. You don't want to be holding a bunch of stock in regret. And last but not least is just look at what you're dealing with in your life. We all deal with drama and stress and trauma. Are there some areas of life that we're taking too seriously? Are there some areas of life that we can step back and look at and analyze and see more of a different perspective of it, more of a humorous perspective, or more of just, not a horrible experience, just, okay, this is happening. I'm going to make it through it. I'm going to get through the other side. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be successful in getting through this. It might not be easy, but I'm going to be successful in my ability to get through this. And I think that in and of itself can change your trajectory and can also augment this play that you're in. Remember, all the world is a stage. It's your play. How do you want your play to be? How do you want to see that? How do you want to get through that? How do you want to make that? Because you're the lead, and ask yourself, how do you want it to be? How positive do I want it to be? How healthy do I want it to be? How amazing do I want it to be? What are some things that I need to let go of in order to have this, the self-sabotage or the victim or whatever it is that we're creating in our life? How do we let go of that? Start being aware of the things that you need to let go of to create the life that you've always wanted. I hope this show is connected with you, this podcast. And remember, the world is a stage. And if you remember that all the world is a stage, it puts a lot of other things in perspective as well, doesn't it? Because it is. It's a very interesting dynamic with people playing lots of different roles. But remember, your play is your play. It's up to you to create the best play possible. If you haven't already, check out my website. Go to ashleyburgess.com. Ashley, BERGES.com. We got some new blogs every single week. Check them out. They're really good. They are good. And they're timely, and that's what's important. Some of this stuff is very important, very timely, and very necessary in the moment. Also, check out the YouTube channel. We put up a couple of videos at least every week on YouTube, and that's Ashley Burgess, YouTube life coach Ashley Burgess. You can find me. We have almost 200,000 subscribers, so that is good. And then the podcast here. Check out the podcast on Spreaker, iHeart, Apple, for sure. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, you can check it out. I hope this show has helped. Please share it with anybody that you think needs to hear this message, that's ready for this message, right on the verge of it, or needs it right now. I would really appreciate it, because that's what they're going to appreciate you and thank you, because that's exactly what they're needing. This is something to listen to a couple of times over, just to get it memorized, write it down, get a notebook. This is good stuff, positive stuff, because I want you to have the life that you want. I want you to get rid of that lack of motivation. I want you to be front and center. And I want you to believe in the power and the ability that you have. Stay tuned. We'll have a new show coming up next week. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube. And don't forget to live your true life. And you've been listening to an episode of the Ashley Burgess Podcast. Take care and have a great one.